Well, just to reiterate that the federal government has denied any increase in the petrol pump price. And the NNPC is assuring residents of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and its environs that the current fuel scarcity will disappear in a few days. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. Well, the fuel queues were attributed to the distribution in supply as a result of an accident on Bida Agere Road involving trucks conveying petroleum products.
There were 3 trucks conveying petroleum products that had accident around Agi, and they fell on the road, and they blocked the road completely in the last 24 hours or so. But we've been to the scene, and some cranes came and moved away the vehicles that had accident. But naturally, because of that blockage, you would expect some slow delivery. We hope in the next 24 hours everything should be well.
All depots, are going to remain open throughout the weekend, and they continue normal receive and dispatch activities.
Today from Suleja, about 121 trucks were discharged today to the retail outlets within the FCT and environs. We would like to maintain this momentum so that those who are traveling back are in transit will not experience any hiccups at all.
Well, if it's not one thing, it's the other. We have a RISE analyst, Dr. Sam Amadi, joining us tonight on Newsnight. Good to see you.
Thank you.
NNPCL will say, no, it is NMDPRA, it is IPMAN. IPMAN says, no, it's depot owners. What exactly is going on? Now we heard, that the federal government had quietly, some captions actually say, quietly approved, pump price increase. Well, they've denied it. We're paying subsidy, and yet we're paying higher for petrol. What exactly is going on?
Well, it's a mixture of facts, but all of them relate to failure of regulation, policy, and project management, clearly. When they said 3 trucks broke down, and of course, every day, in the last 4 months, we can say that, even 6 months, we can say that we have perennial fuel crisis. When this government came to power early in 2015, one of the bragging rights they had was that they wiped off queues. We didn't see queues so much anymore, but they're ending with queues. And so, from the way it doesn't look like we're going to get out of this problem. Because initially, they told us it's a week. DSS stepped in as if it was a matter of national security or some kind of sabotage. And so, if you listen carefully to the independent petroleum marketers and other associated unions, you see that 3 things at work. One is pricing. Once prices are not quote-unquote efficient as to stimulate the level of supply services, then you're going to have some bottlenecks and they're under supply because maybe some will prefer. I'll give an example. If fuel is selling like 350, 380 in Southeast during the Christmas, the incentive for a supplier, a marketer, will be
to go in that direction.
To go in that direction, less on this area. So that could explain some of those problems. Again, this is a monopoly market where NNPC is a sole importer in that case, even though it is independent tank farms and other, distribution platforms. There's a constraint. So even if you unlock this price to, let's say, to something as the independent marketers or producers will likely say is a real landing freight, vessel, refining cost, everything. You will still see that we will still have constraint because the price will signal need to bring up more product, but then the actuality of delivery, whether in terms of hiring the vessels to move from the main, to the stock tanks, and of course the ease with which NNPC can import and release products to would affect it. So we are running a problem where inefficient management. The thing that the Petroleum Industry Act set out to solve is not being solved. So we are getting back to bottlenecks. We are getting back to decision in the market. So if federal government says, look, the price has not been approved, because we are doing still a regulated market, regulated pricing, only that is more commercially, responsive. So the government still regulates the price. It's not a willing buyer, willing seller market.
But what do you think is responsible for this weak regulation or regulatory failure as you have put it, because for the opt-in time, the government is denying increasing pump price. Yet I'm yet to see any filling station selling at 165, which is the official price. And despite all of this, you have black market sellers. In fact, the entire value chain seems like a black market because nobody is selling at official price anymore. What is responsible for, and please don't tell me we cannot fix this until we start producing locally.
No, because don't forget that if you look at the black markets, they exist co-located with the filling stations, basically. So some theory is that sellers prefer to sell to the black market. So sometimes they create artificial scarcity so that more products are sold to the black market. Now, why the black market thrives is because, first, if demand is more than supply, look, maybe there's also a constraint, deliberate constraint in supply conditions. So, because even if you say, look, the price is 165, okay, and supply is available, there will be no black market necessarily because people walk in there, get a product,
but
and
when
pay.
you make it artificially scarce.
But when you make it artificially scarce, either because you reduce the price so much that, that the producers hoard and refuse to deliver, or they themselves, in a bid to force you to increase the price, create a scarcity. So what they're saying now is that all of them are selling at once. It's something in Abuja here and more out of Abuja and Lagos. NNPC knows, the downstream regulator knows that this is the price is not.
So everybody knows.
But so that means there's a tacit or actual consent from government that the price should move as a way of both reducing the impact of the subsidy as well as the visible way to increase supply.
In that report, we heard one of the respondents say, look, can you just make this thing available? We're ready to pay
any price.
Any price. Do you think the average Nigerian is willing to pay any price as long as this product is available?
Well,
round the clock.
And
speak to full deregulation of the downstream.
Absolutely. Well, that Nigerian consumers will be segmented. The elites, middle class guys who have opportunity cost is high, you can't stay in the filling station for like 3 hours, 4 hours. If you look at the financial cost, social cost of that scarcity, it's too much. So you can have rational thinking, say 300 naira per liter without this, crisis is good for me. And of course, you have a way of maybe internalizing that cost and passing it off to some other person, either as a product, service, increasing whatever you're producing. But much of Nigerian people, workers, and the minister said so herself in Davos, cannot afford to pay just the right price that will finally remove scarcity. Why? Because they themselves are going to suffer from two directions. The increase that will come from price, energy increase moves the inflation up, both in terms of price of everything. So if you're not able to also reduce the cost of other things, maybe improve agriculture supply and therefore reduce the cost of food. And then so that people can have one uptake in price of energy and there may be lower reduction in price of goods. So essentially it's good to deregulate, but then you have to deregulate in a way, bear in mind that these are the consequences, value chain consequences, and then find ways to mitigate them. But I would say that back of envelope calculation, maybe it's better for Nigerians now to pay more, slightly more, or more than what they're going to be, because the poor are also paying high cost of travel because the motorists are buying from black market and therefore increasing the price. So invariably, the poor carries the bag.
It's an irony that President Muhammadu Buhari reiterates all the time that he doesn't want Nigerians to suffer, and that's why he does not want subsidy taken at this time.
Suffering.
Yes, Nigerians are suffering.
So we need to remove the subsidy.
And they're saying it will be removed in June after this government is not
removing.
no longer there. Okay,
It's sad. Dr. Sam Amadi, thank you so much, Arise News analyst.